I love my new
Welcome
watch.
Welcome to episode 30 of the Broken by Concept podcast. 30. This is the last episode.
30?
Yeah, we're on 30.
Perfect timing.
I know, perfect timing. Last episode for 20... Are we in 2020? 2020?
2020.
I was going to say 2019.
Holy moly, dude. It's so weird it works like that.
Let's do some reflection, Curtis, over the year. What a big year this was.
Let's reflect. Take a second.
So this time last year, we both started up our YouTube channels. I was probably sitting around 130 subscribers right by now this time last year. You would have probably around, I think you were like 800 or 700 because you were approaching 1,000, right?
Yeah, it was like 700 subscribers.
And what content were you making then?
I don't know, dude.
What were you doing?
I didn't do anything spectacular. I think I did the solo Q tips of the day.
You were still doing them at this time?
Yeah, and they were kind of a waste of time because no one watched them and no one gave a shit.
Struggling. You had 800 people, dude. If there's anyone here that was watching Curtis's channel, definitely not mine. There's no way they're watching mine.
No.
Since Curtis was less than 1,000 subscribers, I wonder if anyone's left. You know, like who's left?
Who's let you out of those people?
Yeah, it was the first 1,000
Yeah, I don't know,
people.
eh?
Like, do they still stick around?
Well, I believe I got my initial 500 from posting my channel on
Reddit,
League
Summer
of Legends
School?
Melbourne and Summoner.
That was a Facebook group.
Yeah, and the Summoner Society or something like that. Summoner School, whatever. And I got a few, but then most of those people unsubscribed anyway. The people that did. So I really started from scratch. And remember we were at yours at New Year's last year?
Of course.
And we're playing pool at your house.
Yeah.
And we're talking about how like...
What were we talking about? About YouTube?
We're talking about how like... Because I remember we're making like a few cents, weren't we? Was it?
No, I wasn't
We were not
monetized by then.
Was I
on
talking about
YouTube.
money by then?
You weren't monetized either.
Oh,
Because
okay.
you hadn't hit 1,000 subscribers.
because I didn't even turn on monetization when I got 1,000.
Yeah, that's right.
Because we're like, oh, like hold out.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was interesting. I remember we're watching the Mandalorian series
Yeah.
on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
And we're talking about YouTube and like content.
We were just going to say it was just going to be a grind, but you've literally gained 800,
like 85,000.
1,000x in a year.
Yeah. No, is that 1,000x?
Oh, wait, that's 800,000, sorry.
It'll be
100x.
100x.
Yeah, 100x. 100, you got 100 times more subscribers.
No, I
in
think
a
it's
year.
10x.
10x would be
Oh, no,
8,000.
it'd be 8,000. Yeah, 100x.
Can you believe that?
It's pretty cool, dude.
You would never think, eh?
No, I never would have thought I'd be in this position right now. A year. Dude, I was so oblivious to how difficult it was going to be to build a YouTube.
Yeah.
It's incredibly difficult.
It's probably February where things started really ramping up for you, right? February,
Yeah.
March.
'Cause January was still slow, ramping up. February started getting into it, and it was like, because I didn't have an identity for my channel. I was still trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to make content on.
You weren't even certain you were going to be a mid-lane.
Yeah, I think
channel.
I slowly realized it.
Because then because I think what happened was you just started making guides, and the only thing you knew was mid lane. So I was like, well, I
Yeah,
gotta
let's
make
make
a
mid-lane
guide.
videos,
So I gotta make mid lane
Just
guides.
make mid-lane video.
That's
like,
the only thing I know about.
Yeah, or like enough to and that's actually the only role I really enjoyed making content on because I love mid lane.
Oh, also, you've spent how many years playing mid? You've been challenger every year playing mid lane,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But anyway, that's all said and done this year.
So you made guides, and then that's pretty much all you did. And then you bid videos here and there. No, your fundamental series did really well, right?
Yeah, and then I did like those psychology videos. Some of them popped off, some of them didn't, but I think they're pretty useful.
So the different types of content was guides,
There was guides,
psychology, mindset videos,
the fundamental series, and then later on I did like the pro play insight videos, and I did solo queue concept series. I did my coaching. Remember I did that coaching series as well?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I put all my content aside and did that coaching
It was like
series.
2 weeks. So you went all in. You
all in on
recorded.
coaching for like 2 weeks straight.
I think there's a lot of nuggets in that series.
Yeah, that was cool.
No one really watched it though.
No, even though it was really good.
So what do you think's the biggest? What do you think something that surprised you? Like let's say this time last year,
yeah.
in terms of content and what people want,
Yeah.
and what works, or what got people results.
Well, what I've realized is that some of the videos that I think are going to do the best don't really do that well.
Yeah, and the videos you think don't do anything
Because okay, what's interesting is a lot of the time people they're not interested in hearing things that they need to learn. You know, because if you think about this, Nathan, right? We may know or be able to literally pinpoint what problems these players have. But they are not only unaware of the solution, they are unaware of the problem. So I can't make a video that gives a solution to a problem that they don't even think they have.
Yeah.
So
they wouldn't even be actively searching for it.
So my goal with my YouTube, what I realize is I have to educate people to realize how little they know first. So it's like, okay, I'm going to show you a bunch of stuff. And the way I did this actually was a lot of my videos, I would like within my guides, right? Was like, I would talk about more advanced concepts. And then people are probably thinking, oh, interesting. I've never thought about that. Because I teach like mid lane through the guides as well, not just the champion. And then I started, once they've become more familiar with the terms, then I would make separate videos for those problems.
So step number 1 was show a problem.
Yeah.
And hope that people could relate to it.
It was more to let them know what they don't know. Because if you're aware of what you don't know, then you're a little bit more motivated to learn and to watch these videos and apply them yourself. And that's actually one of the problems. I still get people in my Discord and people message me. Like, I mean, dude, a part of me, the thing that's frustrating with YouTube is that it feels like I just throw all this stuff out there and they can, it's like, again, at the end of the day, this is just my opinion, but sometimes what's the alternative? Like, I want someone to say what the alternative is.
The alternative to...
So someone in my Discord the other day, say he's a gold 4 player, right? I think he's gold or mid gold or even gold 3 or something like that. And he was saying, he started to type in the chat saying, Curtis, I think that your coin flip or your coin flip series or your 40-40 rule is just like 40-40-30 rule is just broken. Like I'm just going to disprove it. Like it has to be, it's way more luck involved than you contributed to.
And so for those listening that don't know, so the 30-30-40 rule is 40% of your games are in your control, 30% are free win, 30% are impossible to win.
Well, yes, but remember that's only if you want to go to rank 1. That can be very different.
That's over a span of
a lot of games.
It's not like you can go in Smurf in gold.
You know, and that's going to be a lot different if you're playing from silver to gold. You know, that can be like 90% under control or something like that. You know, but I mean, but the thing is like, okay, I throw these concepts out there or I throw these theories out there that resonate or ring true for me. And I've seen them with my coaching clients.
This is it. It's worked for you,
What's the alternative?
All of this stuff's worked for you that you share, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an argument where it may not work for everyone.
Yeah, but okay, I'm willing to accept that. But what is the alternative? That's the thing I don't like about YouTube. It feels like the difference with YouTube comparatively to talking to someone in person.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, if I can talk to an actual coaching client and they tell me their problem and then they say, Curtis, I don't believe in this. This is why. Then I can actually ask good quality questions to that person and be like, all right, man, walk me through this. What don't you like about it? What don't you agree with it? Tell me about your experiences. You can actually have a proper back and forth, but you can't have a proper back and forth through YouTube comments.
Yeah.
Because I never did YouTube before. This may seem really basic, right? But I've never done YouTube before.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I guess that really caught me off guard. It's like, okay, yes, there is a little bit of replying back and forth, but you can't have a proper conversation. It just gets lost. And it feels sometimes it feels like I'm dictating rather than trying to teach. And it gets a little bit frustrating.
Yeah,
in a way.
I really...
Do you feel that sometimes?
There's like a feeling in my stomach because I know dictating is not teaching.
It's not the way to go.
It's like I can, but it's like, do they really understand it? And am I saying this the right way to help them understand? You know,
that's why analogies. I think some of my best videos, even if no one watched them, were the ones with really sound analogies to help them wrap their head around it. You know, like I think that's the key to success with teaching. And that's actually, I would say, if I were to go back in time and distill like, you know, Curtis now, giving my Curtis a year ago some advice, would be just use as many analogies as possible. Keep it as simple as possible, using as little words as possible. Yeah. I feel like at the start I beat around the bush too much because I just wasn't a good teacher. I didn't know how to simplify the concepts in a very, you know, short, sharp, concise manner.
I would say that's one thing that I've definitely learned, more so the fact because when I first went into the YouTube educational game, you know, like this time last year, there's all these like, you know, channels out there that was like all this stuff like that I never really thought about, but overemphasized in terms of I was listening to it, I was like, this is just confusing me.
If it confuses me, then holy shit.
You know, as like I think I was Master Tier at that time, and I've been playing the game for years, right? I'm trying to put my shoes. It's like, well, because I was trying to make content. I was like, okay, because I want to get as many resources as possible, like learn from these other people teaching the game. And then I'm like, okay, if I'm a gold player listening to this, like people are good in general, the higher elo coaches and stuff like that, explaining to higher elo people. But what I've found is that you really got to break things down, and you could say a million things over one VOD, but you really only need
find that one point, key
one
point.
or
That's
two
it.
points. That's it,
dude.
Because that's how you learn. Like, yes, theoretically, there's a million things wrong here. It's like, but it's like then it's weird because I always struggle because then I'm like, well, then you're a bad coach or you're dumb because you're not pointing out all these other mistakes. So I'm like, I may miss some, but I know that they exist, but we got to simplify it here. Like at the end of the day, like I'm not going to be talking about win conditions or advanced pathing with a person that can't even clear their jungle camps correctly first,
Dude, I literally had a conversation, or it was barely a conversation, but it was kind of a one-way conversation because they didn't really reply. But I am a massive critic of, I want to say critic and fan of LS at the same time. Like I really respect LS as a mind. He's mind of the game.
Absolutely.
I think incredibly smart, and he pushes the boundaries. And I love that he has a unique take on the game. I love that. But there's a lot of dangerous things with LS.
Yeah.
In a sense, okay, let's list these out. Let's list these out. The first problem with LS is that everything he says is like, the way he says things, the way he words them, it's very, what's the word? It's like my way or the highway. This is the way it is. And if you disagree, like there is no room for disagreement. It's not, this is just my opinion. And this is the way I'm interpreting it. It's like, no, this is it. And there is no room for disagreement. And because he says it in a very intelligent way, using fancy words and very articulately, people, the LS, that he has like that whole, the LS community, they like, my Lord and Savior, they will listen to every single word and just obsess over it. Now, the dangerous thing is we have a guy, he's a legacy member he was a moderator, and he's obsessed with LS. And I believe he's like silver or gold. And he's stuck. And he watches all of LS's content. And I told him, I genuinely think LS is a bad coach or a bad content creator to watch if you are below Diamond. If you are below Diamond 4, you're going to... Okay, yes, there's going to be some things that are going to be useful, but at the same time, you're going to get messed up.
It outweighs it. The benefits the negatives will outweigh
the negatives will... Because you'll get so confused, and you'll hear things that you shouldn't hear, or you're trying to overthink things. You should not even be... No, just stay away from it for now. Get to Diamond, and then you can ingest it all later on. If you want to watch him as an entertainer, that's perfectly fine. But I remember I was watching his coaching session. He does it with like a gold or a silver Annie player, and like it's really difficult to listen to. It's really not helpful, and the guy is probably going to get worse or have confidence issues as a result of the coaching session. So I do respect LS a lot. I just think he's not a low elo coach because I think he lacks empathy because he's an elitist.
Do you think empathy is important for coaching?
Yes.
I think so.
I think you have to put yourself in their shoes. So I actually had a coaching session this morning, right? And I was like, I mean, I don't like talking because I have mixed feelings about my own coaching. I think sometimes I do an exceptional job. I mean, that sounds egotistical, but sometimes I genuinely think that was a great coaching session.
Is that across the entire hour or just bits of it?
No, I would say there's sessions where I'm on the ball. I know what to say. I know what to look for. I keep it simple, short, sharp, actionable learning objectives. This is like a great coaching session.
Is that because you've seen that sort of problems before and you've rehearsed it so many times?
No, so I found that... Okay, so I think what it is, I've recently had a pretty big breakthrough with my coaching in the last probably like 2 months. I'm able to contextualize, like you said, if you're a goal player, what you should be talking about. So I had a guy this morning, COVID. He's a great guy. He's climbed from silver to gold, or silver 4 to gold 4 this season, which is a pretty big effort for him because he was pretty new to the game. So his micro was really subpar. Like he couldn't control his character very well.
Yep.
But he was obsessed with learning the game through very complicated champions. Like he played Rise, now he plays Aurelia, things like that. But he stuck, props to him, he stuck with it. He worked on his micro because I told him, if you're going to play this champs, you have to be able to, your clicking accuracy, camera control, character control just has to be at a certain level. And he's done that. Props to him, right? Got him to gold. Now he's in gold. And I know in my theory, and this is just proven to be the case, gold is all about wave management. The difference between a low gold 4 and a gold 1 or a platinum 4 is, are they able to, first of all, understand, if you were to pause a VOD and if they can't tell you instantly what is happening with this wave, then they are not gold 1 or platinum 4 standard. They need to be knowing what is happening with the wave now, what is that going to mean the next wave, and where is it going to be in the future? And what sort of wave state does your champion want, and how do you create that? You need to be able to, and this needs to be done very, very, like, has to be muscle memory. That just has to be so your level of play. So all I look for, and it made so much sense. He was getting kills, and he would know how to take the trade, know how to take the combos, know how to go for the all-in, but he had no idea about what the wave state was. He didn't know how to abuse the wave state. Didn't know how to get back. He didn't know how to create a certain wave state. Nothing. So that's all I focused on. There were so many other things we could work on. We could focus on like the warding. We could focus on his jungle awareness. We could probably focus on his side lane awareness, his skirmishing, his team fighting, his mid game, his side laning, everything. His tempo. We could focus on so many things. All I focused on was just waves. And I truly believe, and that's been the case when people get the most results, is now I've been able to realize this is exactly what this guy needs to focus on now. And now it's like, it was a theory, but now it makes sense to me. Because I understand what it means for, if you can create that as a habit, what it leads to, what result you actually get. But before, I don't know if you were the same, when you watched like a jungle, you did a coaching session, you could like have theories about what they needed to focus on, but it was kind of like a guess about which one you would have to focus on first. You know what I mean? When you first started coaching, like you didn't actually know which one you had to focus on first.
Oh yeah, no, I was just splatting out stuff.
Yeah, and like and over time you refined it, and then you realize, okay, eventually you realize, okay, I can't teach that first, because they're just going to get overwhelmed. I can't teach this first.
Well, it's interesting because sometimes the VODs that I look over, that mistake or that concept will never show up. In some VODs. I don't know if that's the same for mid lane.
So what's some examples?
What's an example?
So is this more like gank oriented stuff, where certain gank situations just maybe there's just no opportunities, or you're talking about like forcing ganks and things like that? Yeah,
okay. So the most example one is like a game where someone gets very simplistic ganks off, right? So the game's pretty simple, right? So then we're not getting into why your ganks are failing, because
you can't actually assess what the thought process is leading into that gank, because it just works.
Yeah, it just works. I mean, it's just like you're near the camp and you got to your gank, because that's the most simple way to jungle, right? It's like, okay, I do my clear and then I do a gank, and it works. The most difficult thing is like, okay, I do my camp and there's no gank opportunity, or the jungler's potentially there. What do I do? And then that's where huge mistakes come in.
That's where massive mistakes happen.
You know, it's like the forcing, the not conceding a crab, like all this sort of stuff.
It's so it's so interesting. Jungling it's actually very simple but hard emotionally, I find. Jungling is very mentally
abused by your teammates. It's very
frustrating.
If you're playing an early game jungler and you're not doing something early game, the amount of discipline required to just like reset and just keep clearing your camps, because you feel like you've lost the game.
I would say jungle is the best role for learning the mental game, in my opinion, because you just got to have so much so much restraint. The feeling of doing a clear and then you're like playing this champion like Elise, and you just you can't go top. Or like you've done this perfect clear and there's nothing else to do, and you know going top is just bad because you show, or like it's gonna fail anyway. Like some of them are just really difficult to just restrain yourself, because we know League is so like adrenaline focused and so many things running around your brain. But yeah, that's been I would say the biggest struggle with my coaching anyway, is finding out the order. And I'm still refining it, right? I haven't like cracked the code, but I think I've significantly leveled up my coaching in terms of where that person should direct attention. And actually one of my big breakthroughs was actually the mental stack thing. You know how I spoke about the mental stack thing in my I don't know which video it was. One of my recent videos I spoke about the mental stack.
You refresh me.
It's kind of like Dopa's attention theory.
Yeah.
Where like there's only a certain amount of things that you can think of at a given time. So there's like, say in your mental stack, in your brain, you have like 4 things at any one time you can think of. And the one at the top is the one where you're directing the most like mental power and like so on and so forth. But you can only have like 4 things in there, right?
Yeah.
So the reason, like, this is where my philosophy of coaching is okay, my goal is to make sure that the 4 things you're thinking about is like, you know, they're the most important things or the absolute best things that you should be thinking about in that given moment. But what I've realized, it's unrealistic for me to expect that for most players because, again, they don't have the muscle memory of all these absolute basic fundamentals that I would have.
So their four's filled up
already. Their four's already filled up from the beginning.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm teaching someone and I have to like pour water into a cup, but the cup's already full. So anything I put in over is just overflowing into the cup and it's going into the floor and it's being wasted.
Yeah.
That's what my coaching feels. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
A lot of the time. I actually think that's when my earlier coaching sessions weren't that good because of that.
Yeah.
I'll give them all this information, but it doesn't matter because the cup's already full. So what I have to do is, all right, given this is your level, given this is how much mental capacity you have, you know, I'm only going to just focus on, I'm just going to pick one thing that's very, very important, or I'll pick 1 or 2 things and say, look, you know what? These are your learning objectives, but this is going to take a lot of time because this isn't muscle memory yet. So you have to continue with this first. Then over the next 2 or 3 weeks, once it feels a little bit more comfortable, then slowly introduce this one. Then you'll notice you'll get worse a little bit while you're adding this one in. While you're removing one and replacing one in the mental stack, you're actually going to lose elo. But then once that becomes muscle memory, you're going to climb. Like that level of like thought didn't cross my mind at the start. And that was a big breakthrough for the whole mental stack. Because I think it's a very neat way of like
I'm actually thinking about a lot of ideas of actually articulating it because I've never thought about articulating it that way. It's like the way that I view it is like, okay, we have 4 things we can possibly do at once. I mean, how do you know it's 4 things, by the way?
Well, I don't know if it's 4, but that's
just the number you just came up with.
In the I got it from the fighting community.
Got it.
And there's only like 4 or 5.
Okay. So 4 or 5 things, and then there's a layer underneath, which is the muscle memory you've developed.
That's correct.
Okay.
You know, muscle memory, because these are things you actively have to think about.
Yeah.
Like for this dude, his understanding of wave state, it has to be in the top of the mental stack because he for me though that's just a given. I literally don't even have to think about it.
Wave state,
like 0.5 seconds.
Is wave state one stack or multiple?
Well, it depends. Then you go deeper. You go, okay, what is happening with the wave right now? That would be 1.
That's 1.
The next one would be where is it going to be?
Yeah.
As a result of where it is right now.
Yeah.
And then third one is what does your champion wants? And number 4 is like, how do you create that? So that's already your 4. Like you're done. You can't literally come focus on anything else.
Yeah.
And you know this is so fascinating to me. And again, I always want to go back to this question is like people always ask, what's the difference between like a master tier or like these challenger level players? When you watch a stream, what's so amazing about them? Even get amazed at myself. I'm able to simultaneously do so many things. I'm able to understand, instantly look at the wave, 0.5 seconds. I know what it's doing, where it's going. I know what I need to do to bring about a favorable wave state for me. Then I'm thinking about, then I'm already naturally thinking, side to lean on. This is where I need to ward. This is where the jungler is, so I need to be careful of here. Then I'm also at the same time thinking, he actually used Q on the wave, so I know there's like a 5-second cooldown here that I can abuse. Then his mana, I know he doesn't have much mana. Then I know he's sitting on 1,000 gold, so I know he has to reset soon. Like I'm thinking all of this within the span of like 4 or 5 seconds.
It's incredible.
It's unbelievable.
I think that's the biggest learning overall this year is how difficult the game of League is.
Yeah.
And don't get frustrated at gold players or silver players because this is actually what I would, when I've started coaching, properly. I would get frustrated at seeing the same mistakes over and over again with like my lower elo clients because it's so obvious to me. It's like, come on, man, but it's like, okay, I understand why because so the most obvious one is we have an example of this one review I did the other day was he's very good at doing the clear, the level 4 Eve clear, which is it's pretty difficult to do, right? And whilst he was doing that, he could also ping on track where the enemy jungler would start,
that's
right?
really good, yeah.
So, but this one specific game, the guy, the enemy like warded his blue buff, and that threw him off. So that piece of information came in, and then he no longer had the ability to track, and then he forgot to track the enemy jungler because he was just focusing on that clear.
Makes sense.
That's the most perfect example.
It's like the mental stack thing.
Mental stack,
a way.
yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I think me and you both, we realize how hard the game is.
It's very difficult.
It's a very, 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 very difficult game. And we just take it for granted what we can and can't do.
Because I was thinking about, okay, this is another thing, another learning as well this year. How many new players are coming to the game?
Yeah, dude, it's insane, eh?
And like how many new players like just comment on my content, hey, just started playing the game, like this has been really helpful and stuff. Like I've got that so many times. I was like, it's so interesting, like, because we've been playing for what?
10 years.
9 years?
10.
So
literally
10 years.
Okay.
Okay.
For me, I had literally 10 years.
Yeah, it's probably like 9 years for me. So I'm literally just sitting there like with something in my head that everyone's played League and everyone's been playing for, like, basically I'm thinking there's no such thing as new players to the game. It's either like players that are somehow like, you know, came in season 4 or 5 who are just silver or bronze. It's like there's actually a new wave of players.
Yeah, dude, it's
coming
insane.
all the time.
It's actually insane, yeah. I mean, you know what the most amazing thing is for me though is what is our coaching going to look like a year from now?
Absolutely, man.
Like, how good are we going to be as coaches a year from now?
Well, I mean, I think it's going to take a lot of years, guys. I mean, I'm not even close, man.
Oh, yeah, I'm not even close as well. I mean, I'm pretty proud of the results I've gotten for a lot of my clients.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like, well, if I can get this, what is possible? I got a guy from gold to diamond in this season. Is it possible to go even further?
Well, that's the thing. It's like get them more results, but also how can I get more results for people with less time and less effort, less energy? So it's more like refining the process.
Well, I think that's where we need to level up our content in a way. Is how can we get across things in a way for them to improve by themselves without us needing to be there?
Yeah,
that's what the theme of my whole YouTube is.
Yeah,
that's why it's so in depth. People say, oh, you know, I don't want your content; it's too long. Well, okay, well then you're not gonna. I can't explain. I'm giving this for free. I'm trying to give you everything so you can prove by yourself. What do you want? You want me to give you less?
Maybe they have their point. No, they don't have a point. It's like, distill this for me in 10 minutes, your 1 hour video.
Yeah, I understand where they're coming from, but a part of it is like, I just don't think it's possible. Like, I think I have decreased the length of my guides. They used to be like 2.5 hours. Now they're like hour and 50. I'm sure there's ways for me to go, you know, maybe trim it down a little bit. But even then, like, it's just quality, dude. Like, I don't feel like I'm beating around the bush. Like, I'm giving pretty insane information. Yeah, but obviously there's room for improvement. I just got to figure that out, you know? I mean, always got to keep improving our content. That's actually been another stressful thing with my YouTube is always leveling up the game. You make a video, great.
Yeah.
How can you do it better next one?
You always say your videos. Remember, you always used to say this. Your first Diana video was so trash, and it pissed you off because it kept on getting views.
Yeah, that's correct.
And you actually cringed at it.
Yes, and you kept telling. I was going to say, should I delete it? And you said, no, just leave it up.
Should I delete it?
I hated it so much.
It got so many views. It's fascinating there when you think something's so bad and you're confused why people are still saying, "Oh, this is really good." It's like, no, it's not.
No.
Your microphone was like a webcam microphone or something.
Dude, I have some shocking content. If you go back on my channel, there's some shocking content.
Yeah, me too. I was actually looking back as well. Like, this is it's crazy, man. But when you put it out at the time, you're like, oh, I'm really excited. I got a video out, you know? I'm excited to see the comments in the next day.
So I wanted to talk about what Riot do well.
Okay, so what Riot do well?
Because Nathan, like,
Riot get a lot of hate.
They get a lot of flack, but it's more you go on Reddit,
and
it's like, you know, there's a bunch of people complaining, or even on my Discord or anywhere. You just go anywhere. When has anyone said, you know, Riot, I think they did a pretty good job with this.
So you're talking about balance and patches here?
I'm talking about everything, dude.
Everything.
Like the rank system, LP gains, matchmaking.
Yeah.
You know, champ design.
Matchmaking.
Oh, like, fuck me. Like, everything is like, hey, Riot did this poorly. Riot did this poorly. It's like, all right, let's just debunk a few of the things. And actually, because this is one of the things I'm scared of the most. Okay? First of all, League of Legends Reddit is the biggest echo chamber I've ever seen.
Yep, you said that multiple times on this podcast.
There is zero room for meaningful, constructive discussion.
Because there's no proper back and forth.
There's no proper back and forth, but it's like...
But why is comment Comment. Why is that not back and forth?
No, it is. But okay, what I mean by echo chamber is like the amount of people that have a certain. Okay, let me rephrase this. If you think of the average player in solo queue who is, pissed off about their teammates, because there's more people pissed off about their teammates and how poor quality the matchmaking is and the MMR and trolls and things than there is positive people that are actually very hopeful and actually know that they are the ones contributing to their losses, right? Would you say that's very...
Let's backtrack here.
Would you agree with that statement? Would you say there is more people out there that... fall into the trap of blaming teammates, feeling like they're the victim. They are
blaming teams because of matchmaking.
I'm saying any reason. They just don't feel like they're the ones responsible for their elo.
Of course.
Okay, that would outweigh them significally, right?
Outweigh the people that are positive. Yeah, of course.
Yes, okay.
100%.
No doubt, right?
Yeah.
There's not many people that say, that's actually my bad, and I deserve to be the elo I am.
Yeah.
Not many people say that.
Based on my experiences with the chat in solo queue.
Based off our experiences anyway.
Yeah.
Could be wrong.
Yeah.
Now, not to say all the people that are on League of Legends Reddit even play ranked, but if we're to extrapolate this, you're getting a very uneducated, biased opinion of what is or isn't balanced on Reddit, on what is or isn't good. That's kind of how I feel when I listen to Reddit. It's always like... the way I envision it, the average person talking on Reddit is a silver 1 or a gold 4, mid-gold, player that's been gold for a few seasons and is pretty passionate about the game, but is relatively toxic or thinks that they're not toxic, but they are, but then they don't take responsibility for their wins and losses and they think that they're way better than they are, right? These are the players that potentially skew, because Riot... actually do listen to Reddit. People go on Reddit and they go on Reddit to see the
Well, that's response. One thing Riot does well. They listen to their community.
They listen to the community, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
you think it's
terrifying.
It's like,
I think it's scary.
Yeah, they could be...
Look, half of the complaints, in my opinion, are complete nonsense. First of all, they introduced Smurf queue, then people complain about Smurf queue.
What was the problem with Smurf queue? What did people complain about?
People say, oh yeah, I'm in Smurf queue for too long, and like they make a new account and they just complain about being in Smurf queue. And then they end up like going on more Smurfs and shit like that. It's just like... I've had people in my Discord complain about Smurf queue, and I've had people complain about MMR all the time, or LP games, matchmaking. I'm always getting off roll. Like, it's just... When has anyone ever said, great job, Riot?
Well, no, the people that say good... at the end of the day, it's easy to be negative than like they don't say anything. Yeah, the people that great job, like, because that just gets outweighed, like flooded between.
Because I think this is a very deep topic, and I think there's a lot of strings we can pull onto this. Because I think this is part of the League of Legends culture. The League of Legends culture is to look at the things, or only like sensationalize the things that go wrong.
Is this not League of Legends? This is humans.
It could even be humans. Yeah.
This is where.
Okay, so the first one I want to debunk is I want to give Riot a pat on the back for the rank system.
Yeah, me too.
I think the rank system is pretty much flawless. Like, there's obviously a little room for improvement, but it's exceptional. It's one of the best rank systems across any game ever.
It's beautiful.
It's an amazing, amazing system. You get your role most of the time. It's incredibly accurate. That like the best players, you go in solo queue if you are unsure of if this guy does... like, is really better. I guarantee you, if he's above you, he is better than you.
Most of the time, yeah.
Okay, if they're... they are.
All the time.
All the time.
Okay.
This is the way I feel. Again, remember this, Nathan. If you think about...
It's true, yeah,
it's true.
Right.
The center of the curve is in the middle. So, yes, there are going to be some games where he plays worse than you, but overall, yeah. Over multiple games, he is a better player than you.
You got to define better, because it's like, he
plays at a higher average MMR than you.
Yeah, but I get always off track there, because it's like, well, a Katarina one trick who's like...
Okay, let's get more specific. Okay, they're better at solo queue then.
Okay, yeah, they're better at the game of solo queue.
The game of solo queue, because the game is very broad. You got to be specific. Are they better at solo queue?
But then people can use that as their weapon, as an arsenal now. You know what I mean? Because then it goes back, because they can use that.
I'm a Clash player. I'm a competitive player. You talking about that?
Well, but it's also, it's like, well, that's the reason. Like, I'm just not good at solo queue. Like, I'm a genius at the game. I've all LS's knowledge and everything, but because they're a one trick Katarina. Like,
so notice how it's very easy to create a it's so easy to create a hole in which people can weasel their way into.
Yeah, they can.
It's very easy. We've got to be so careful with our words
It is.
sometimes, you know. Thanks for calling me out on that one. It's a good one.
It's very scary.
But, you know, I just want to, congratulate Riot for creating a beautiful system. Absolutely flawless. And whether or not, like, I have to accept reality. There are players that are above me sometimes in solo queue that I would say overall, I'm a better player at the in-game holistic and maybe more even smarter at the game. But they are better at solo queue.
Yeah.
They're higher ranked than me. They're better at solo queue.
Yeah.
I can't complain about that. Whether that's because they're more mentally resilient, maybe that's because they understand how to adapt to chaos better than me. Maybe that's because they have a more free-flow way of looking at the game. Maybe they have way more champion mastery than me, or that champion happens to be... And remember, it's at this point in time. They're better at solo queue at this point in time. We've got to take into a lot of factors here. How many games are they playing compared to me at this point in time? What's the meta like at this point in time? There are so many variables that... Remember, because it can shift so quick.
It does.
Someone doesn't stay above you for very long.
No.
You can easily climb past someone in a very, very brief period of time based off meta changes and things
And they
like
could
that.
go on a huge loss streak.
They can go on a huge... Yeah, they go on a huge loss streak. Things like that. But I'm talking... I think the system's exceptional. So I think that's great.
I agree.
I think Smurf Q was an amazing introduction.
Yep.
I think that's really good. Like even you said you're watching Zen Coaching's stream the other day and he was on a gold account playing with diamonds. That's great. That's awesome. Recognizes Smurf, puts him with diamonds straight away. That's really good. What are some other things, Nathan, that you think Riot's done a great job with? I mean, I think releasing all the new champs, I think some of the new champs were pretty great. I think Yone was awesome.
I think the really recent change about there's no promos anymore from D2 to D3
I like
and stuff
that.
like that. So you're just going up and down because it is. There must be. I mean, it's going to be different in terms of MMR. Like, because I mean, at the end of the day, if you're 98 LP and you won a game and then hit into promos, that's a really good boost for your MMR. People hated to be on a 98 LP, but if you win on 98 LP, it's good.
Yeah.
So that sort of MMR boosting things is sort of gone. But
Do you feel like, Nathan, do you feel like if you are below Master, you shouldn't talk about MMR? Do you feel like that sometimes?
yeah.
Like that's how I genuinely feel. This sounds really elitist and it sounds terrible. And I want to apologize for you guys in the podcast right now.
Yeah.
But again, the way I want this podcast to be, I'm going to be no bullshit.
Yeah.
I genuinely feel like it's completely irrelevant. Like MMR shouldn't even be in your vocabulary.
Well, yeah. I mean, I had a recent experience this year again. I went down all the way to Diamond 4 playing in Platinum 2 games, and I fixed my MMR all the way to Grandmaster just by being a better player.
Just by getting better at the game.
Yeah. On
I
that
don't know,
one
man.
account.
It just feels like...
So I agree. with that.
Okay, let's frame this a different way. If every single time a player, say you're out there and you're a gold platinum player and you talk about MMR and things like that a lot, if you were to look at all of that or add it up in terms of time spent thinking about MMR, just raw minutes or hours, you could even be in the out like 20 plus hours more. Probably even for some people, they're obsessed about it, right? Say 10 to 20 hours. You spend that 10 to 20 hours watching your VODs and getting deep onto your mistakes or like going deep into like how you can replicate getting leads or deep onto like thinking about your invisible narratives of the game. You're just going to
You get better results.
way better results. Or, okay, let's think about this. I'm going to say another controversial thing. All these people that have multiple accounts... You know, all these people that try to have like great win rates or they want a fresh account with beautiful MMR. If all of that time was spent playing on their main account, try hard and getting into the review, how much further ahead would they be? Think about the amount of time wasted. Either will they buy your account or level up your account?
The league community in general, they're very good at shifting energy and focus away from anything that makes them better at the game.
Experts.
I love, the experts.
They're experts.
That's the thing I want to really focus on next year. This is why I'm going to show you my Mott's Mistakes series. Is like, keep playing on your elo. Keep playing on your elo. Try and push. Lose. Tilt. Lose confidence. We're going
to be the people in the league community that are so... We're negative for a reason.
Yeah.
We want people to fail.
Yeah.
We want people to suffer.
Yeah.
Because we know that's the only way you improve.
You do. There's actually one of my coaching clients I was showing out Philip, and he's recently lost so much confidence. He says he's on negative confidence, right? And I literally said to him, I'm like, this is great.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this. We're going to get you to zero confidence, and then we're going to build you back up. But I said at the end of the review, keep failing, keep trying, keep failing these things. Keep failing. I want you to keep failing.
if we can, this is the thing. This is how confidence and strength, mental resilience is built. Failing, getting into the details, get like really like harsh reality, facing your ego, getting into the details, and then rebuilding. That rebuilding process.
That's so essential.
That is essential.
How many times have you rebuilt in the game?
You
had to rebuild this year.
So many times, dude. I've had insane identity crises in terms of like I've gone to the extent of I didn't even know what role I play anymore. I had zero champion pool anymore. I was completely outdated. I remember like I went through a stage where like 'cause I was coaching so much, I didn't have time to learn new champs. So I come back, I only played like Ori and Twist of Fate. And I had to like relearn the game, dude. Like I've had so many identity crises where I've had to literally completely redo my philosophy on the game. But you feel so much stronger.
Once you get out of that
clicks.
hole.
Things start clicking. You start to see results. You start to get there, and it's like, oh wow, okay, actually, this actually makes a lot of sense now, and I actually see myself improving. And I'm actually building a lot of confidence. We're going to be simultaneously the most like despised but loved.
Oh yeah, I want the least subscribers possible, guys. That's my goal.
Yeah,
I want lots of people to unsubscribe to my channel and just be like, only like I'm just getting to the details, the really boring, very boring.
It's boring,
unsexy stuff. That's all I preach.
Yeah,
fundamentals, execution,
boring and sexy.
I love boring and sexy. It's my favorite.
It's just
quote.
the way to go, man. And it's like this is the more and more I've realized over time, But in a way, Nathan, it is your duty as a content creator to make the boring things as sexy as possible. You can still do... that's what a great teacher is. You think back in school, right? They didn't just like... the best teachers made a boring topic somewhat exciting, whether the way they framed it...
That's true.
A different way of learning that exercise or using interesting analogies. Actually, like their voice and stuff was very energetic. There's ways you can actually make things that are boring somewhat exciting or more exciting than it would have to be. But I agree with you that we have to sensationalize failure.
That's a good word.
We do.
Sensationalize it.
We have to make it like, we have to make that the forefront.
Yeah, like that's so important. You need to fail.
Because show me a person that has gotten insane results that hasn't failed.
Yeah. Show me the best players in the world that they had to grind and climb solo queue.
Yeah.
You're sure they might have done it quicker than things, but at the end of the day, they definitely had periods where they weren't climbing at all.
Yep.
Or like lost a lot of confidence and stuff like that in their gameplay.
It's just we have to change this, Nathan. No one else is talking about it. We have to really get into it.
Everyone else is like, play this build, win every game.
Holy shit.
Smurf this,
and
Smurf that. Insane win rates.
That actually ties back to one of my biggest regrets this year. I feel like I, in a way, fueled some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Because when I talk, I genuinely believe, though, that you have to understand the build theory at least and why runes work the way they do with your champion. I do believe that. But, when we talk about nitty gritty, yes, builds and runes matter, but it's just not as important as the gameplay. And I feel like sometimes I've spent too much time talking about builds and runes rather than gameplay.
Yeah, I knew that from the get-go. I never focus on building runes.
Yeah.
That wasn't something I never put much effort into, so why would I teach it? Like, I can't explain exactly why this is a good rune set. Just go it. Like, I just go it. It works for me,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That's about the extent that I would go into it. But yeah, I would say that was one thing that I learned as well this year is don't be scared, because I was really afraid of putting out content of like me playing bad, and now I'm realizing I want to do that more, to just show people like you can play bad.
I think I need to do that more, honestly, because so many people look up to me in a way, and I need to show people that I didn't get to where I was, or I still have shocking games.
That's right.
I just get outplayed. Props him. This guy outplayed me. Cool. Being able to put my ego aside. I don't think I'm the best player. I admit this guy's going to I'm going to lose sometimes. This guy's going to outplay me. I'm going to misplay mechanically. And I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose the game for my team. Lose the game for my team all the time.
Yep.
And that's with me.
I want to see it, Kurt. I want to see lots of that content. All right.
And it's just, it's got to figure out a way to do it in a way that shows the learning.
Yeah, so you can learn.
It's not about beating myself up. It's about...
It's like, I lost the game from team. It's like, okay, well, what...
Okay, how I review it.
Yeah,
how would I think about this?
What's the takeaways?
So... the reason I think me and you are able to do this now, and I think one of the big reasons, Nathan, people aren't able to do it is they feel like if they really accept what they did as wrong or... Okay, no, there's a few complex things here, Nathan. This is where I think things get complicated. One, what does a player do if they don't know how to review their mistakes? What does a player do if they just don't have that knowledge? What is that where they need to get coaching?
Yeah,
Is that where
they need to get coaching.
That's where coaching. So if you feel like you're stuck
find content,
and you're genuinely unsure about what you're doing wrong, that's where content or YouTube comes into play, or like coaching. Yeah, that's great. Okay. Second thing is, I think the bigger problem is, okay, let's say they know and they have the knowledge, they can even get into the review, but they just get mental blocks when they get into the review. I've had this in the past as well, because they have a fragile ego when they see themselves fail. Yeah. We're able to say, you know what, that guy actually played pretty well. You know? Well, props to him. Yeah. The guy outplayed me. That guy's actually pretty good. Even if they say, even if I get bantered by like a 16-year-old kid, 17, and they say like XD after they solo kill me, sometimes I'll get like, you know, pissed off, but majority of the time I'm like, all right, cool, dude. He actually played well. He played that really well.
You get excited. It's like, okay, well, you do this. We'll see you next game.
Exactly. See you next game, or, you know, I'm going to get into the review and see what you did so I can like learn from you. Yeah. Right. Even though I might, if we were to lay out how much we know about the game, I might know more, but he just knew this about this specific situation better than me. So have you had this experience with your clients where people, a part of me feels like they know what they did wrong. They even have the ability to go in the review, but they just lose confidence when just looking at their mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's that guy who's on negative confidence.
So what do you...
He knows all the mistakes that he's making.
So what do you used to say to him? Like, how do you help him not destroy his confidence too much that he falls off the face of the planet? Because I do believe that's a thing, by the way.
Yeah, well, that's what I said. I said, we'll keep doing this stuff, keep failing.
Because you've got to reward small wins in a way, right?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I ask my coaching clients, like, some guy said, like, oh, I played a game, I thought it was really good, perfect. I said, great, let's review it.
Right.
So it's more things like reviewing your good games.
Okay, so like talking about, so it ties back to replicating what they did well and why they did that well.
That's right, yeah.
Okay. So I think I need to figure out an actual, like, a set system to follow in a way. Because I feel like I'm really good like you, where I know exactly what to point out to do wrong. But sometimes I feel myself going too much on that side, where like I just expose people and then only say the bad things. You know, it's just something I need to work on.
Yeah, I mean, if someone's really got an ego, then I really need to expose. You know, as I said, expose them in a good way in terms of. Okay, you need to understand this is why it makes perfect sense to me why you're in this elo. Okay? Let's cut the bullshit. Let's cut the ego. You got to give people a reality check sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So have we got questions today, by the way?
Yeah.
Have we got many?
Curtis, we have like 50 questions in the backlog. I said this
because there's a guy that messaged me on Discord, by the way. Yeah. And he has this big problem where he's stuck, and I told him to email it into BBC. Yeah. So hopefully we can do that one.
Okay. Well, let's take a quick look at it. Yeah. I'll quickly change the battery, and we'll be back in a jiffy.
Sounds good.
All right, we are back for Nathan's mailbag.
So the one you have now, this is the one that...
we were literally just talking about.
Yeah.
So Curtis has found it. He's super excited.
Yeah.
So does this tie into what we've just been talking about, Curtis?
Potentially.
Okay. All right, so this is from AJ. Email of the title is called In Need of Help Getting Out of Year and a Half Long Plateau.
Yep.
Hey guys, thanks for doing BBC and letting us get your takes on all things League. In Season 9, I went from Silver to Plat 3, playing casually, but haven't been able to climb higher since then. I've been watching Curtis's videos for nearly 10 months now, seen all the psychological videos, mid-late fundamentals, and BBC episodes, and feel that I've learned a lot since. That is a lot of listening to Curtis's voice. That's like 500 hours.
That's a lot.
The problem is my rank would disagree. Curtis has a quote, LP is a byproduct of improvement, which I love, and is why I don't think I've been improving at League in the last year. I played around 1,000 games in Season 10, only fluctuating from Plat 4 to Plat 2, trying to develop a growth mindset and becoming a non-results-based thinker, but with very little results. I'm not sure if you'll clarify my case as extreme, but how would you approach this? This doesn't seem to be a problem I can fix on my own, and if I don't get some help on this, I don't see it being solved. Thanks again for having Nathan's mailbag. All right, so is AJ a extreme case? Is he a lost cause, Curtis? Is he just finished? Should he quit the game?
So this is what I want to get into, dude. Is you know, let's talk about failure.
This is such a good question.
Let's talk about failure rather than this. You know, let's talk about this and why. What's going on here, Nathan?
So Season 9, he went from Silver to Plat 3. And then this season, he's only been going from Max Plat 2. So he's literally gained an extra 1 division in 10 months.
Of all that content.
Of consuming hundreds and hundreds of hours.
So casually, he went from... So that's blissful ignorance. Went from Silver to Plat 3.
Yeah.
Then he's basically gone up like 1 division in nearly a whole season, 1,000 games played.
This is not casual anyway. He's watching thousands of hours of league content.
So you know when I actually see this sort of thing, Nathan? Yeah. I think that there's generally a very, very simple answer. It's very easy to look
if you have
at
a
this.
simple, I'm so excited. What's your simple answer, Curtis?
So when I go back to this, you know what I start with always? It has to be to do with champion mastery. It just has to be.
Okay, so that's your first thing.
That's my first I would look at. So I'd look at his OBGG.
Next thing would be...
How many champions... Has he have a champion ocean? Because you can get away with not having that much champion mastery if you're pretty good at the game naturally. To high plat. Right? Mid to high plat.
Well, the one that screams out to me, this one, Curtis, is this guy another case like that coaching client where he had to leave your coaching program because...
He's toxic.
He's just toxic.
Could just be toxic.
Yeah,
that could be the case as well.
He's a hard tilter. He has high highs and the high lows.
Oh man, but it hurts to say that because you know, it feels like I don't have the skills. I don't have the skills.
You'd be like a therapist for that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a psychologist.
Yeah,
you know? I mean,
you just play League of Legends, man.
I mean, there's a part of me that thinks that this tilting thing, these people that are very toxic and they can't control their emotions.
Even though they know that it's bad for them. This self-sabotaging behavior.
But it frustrates me so much because it's like it feels like it's out of my control.
Yeah,
you know?
Me too. Yeah.
It's so out of my control. So either, okay, number one, it's a champ pool thing where he has a champion ocean and he hasn't committed to a small champ pool.
Yep.
That'd be number one. If he has, all right, that's fine. Great. 2, like you said, it could be toxic tilter. We've had them before. Very similar rank to the guy who got stuck last time. He got stuck a whole season, 2,000 games played, watched all my content, BBC, listened to everything, still stuck at high plat. What I told to that, you know what I said to him? Because he's actually addicted to League as well, that guy. I told him to take a break. I think he said he took a break for 4 days and then he came back. I would have liked if he took a break for longer.
Did he have good results when he came back or still relatively?
He says he came in with a fresh mind, but the games weren't that good. But I think he needs to take a long break. That's where that guy needs to take a 2-week break. This guy, I'll say taking a break would be a massive refresh.
Okay, here's another theory as well, guys. This guy could also be on the brink of a breakthrough. Unlikely, but possible.
I mean, it's so unlikely that a plateau could last 10 months and you're going to have a breakthrough. If you're plateauing for that long...
Yeah. I'd say I plateaued for 3-4 months, dude, this year.
Yeah, but that's literally double over double.
That's true.
That's 3 times your plateau.
Yeah.
I mean...
you know the way that I broke from my plateau? I stopped playing the game for a long period of time, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How long did you stop playing for?
Oh, it would have been...
What is this?
Because then I was really focused on my coaching. Right. Yeah, this year. Yeah, so when I went down my Nidalee phase, I had a crisis. Then I went back to my main champs and Nunu, Hecarim,
and you took a break.
And I took a break and then came back.
For how long was it?
Oh, it would have been probably 3 weeks.
Right.
And then I hardcore climbed solo queue again.
Do you feel like this could also be a case of just information overload? He's on the LS.
Yeah. So what he could also be doing as well is that he's gotten good at one thing and then things suffered. And then, he needed to learn those again. He's just been going back and forth.
Well, he might even just have so much knowledge of the game where, he's looking at he knows exactly why he's losing, all these things. One game he's losing, he's able to spot, 25 different errors in a single game, but he's overloading his brain so he doesn't go anywhere. That could also be the case. Like he needs to just pick 2 learning objectives and stick on that for like a month.
It could be as simple as like we're no longer at game knowledge. We're just execution. He's just
Pure
messing
execution.
up ganks, skirmishes, team fights. Like he's just messing up, just losing him games. Other games he would have won.
Yeah.
Because people get away from that sometimes.
Just straight execution.
Just execution. And it's like
How
game
do you,
knowledge.
So
game
what do you do?
knowledge.
What do you do with execution with your clients? If someone has an execution problem, I just say games, dude. Just games.
We need to play games, but you also got to break down. Like, well, you can break down the actual execution. It's like, who were my threats? What was my role in this fight? To pill, to one shot. Did I know where all 4 of my teammates were and all 5 of the enemy teammates were? These are questions.
Knowing your role is actually a huge one. It actually dictates everything in a team.
I love that example you mentioned on the podcast before about the way Dopa played a Fizz game. We switched. Fizz's identity is to one-shot assassin, but he played to peel through damage.
Yeah. He understood his role.
In that one game.
That's very complex. Yeah. Yeah, understanding your roles it's something I need to do more content on, but I don't know how to make content on it.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
I've tried, but I don't know how to do it. It's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
So any parting words? I mean, honestly, I would say, so this TLDR, let's summarize. Start with champion mastery.
Yeah.
Do you have a small champion pool? Do you have like a champion ocean? You have 0 champion mastery. Number 2 is you just a toxic tilter in which I can't help you and you need to either see a professional or you need to, maybe the game's just not for you. 3 is information overload. You think you're trying to focus on like 20 things at once.
And just go, and if that's the case, go back to just basic. Just like the way that I view it, just be intentionally dumb about the game. Just play like, just do no tracking, like no nothing. Just play like the lane or, just clear your camps and just do a simple gank. Just focus on good ganks.
Okay.
You know?
What's the purpose of that? Just to see where you're at.
Yeah, see where you're at. And,
see what's muscle memory.
And the funny thing is usually you still win those games.
Right. So simplify and then see what's muscle memory and just start with the fundamentals. Start with like your first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Your wave management, your basic trading patterns, basic warding, basic jungle tracking. Start with that type of stuff. Like, and if you realize something isn't muscle memory, just pick 2 of them and hone in on it. That's it for like 3-4 weeks. And what was the last one, Nathan? That you think that it could just be raw execution.
Yeah.
And if it's raw execution, then you need to be thinking about identifying your role in team fights, which kind of ties into champion identity in a way. Thinking about win conditions, thinking about key threats on both teams. How do you want to play team fights? That sort of thing.
The timing of the play, sometimes patience. Sometimes you need to wait in a bush for like a little brief 1 to 2 seconds. It can be all the difference because you need to wait for someone to commit or something.
So it has to be one of those. And if it's not one of those, then I'll need to look at you individually to get a better read on it, man.
Yeah, you need some coaching to really figure that one out. That's what Curtis's service will be providing next year.
Actually, just to interject here quickly, Nathan. Yeah. I literally had a guy say in my Discord that he's goal 4 and he truly believed, like I said, my coin flip was like wrong and there was more luck and that it was the system. So I think sometimes, Nathan, what actually happens, could even be the same with this previous guy, is that he's so convinced that he's playing perfectly or he's playing well. Like he's able to like only look at the things that he's doing poorly. Like you can just tunnel vision on it. You can actually just I don't understand how the brain works with this.
Yeah.
But this guy in my Discord is 110% convinced, no matter what, that it's not him, it's his teammates. Right? So even though he's watched my content, he's watched the coin flip video, there's all this stuff out there, and he's in goal 3, and he's 100% convinced that it's his teammates.
Yeah, so that will be somewhere where I need to break down that you get the specifics of a review.
You get very in detail in a review, pinpoint all the things they're doing wrong.
You never talk general with that person ever again. There's no generalization.
No generalization.
Details.
Right. So that could be that guy in a way. Yeah. It actually could be similar to that guy.
Like I hate talking about league in general, one sentence concepts.
Yeah, me too. Has to be specific.
Hate it so much. No one gets anywhere with that, and then you can get into really toxic arguments back and forth. All right, next one here is from Steven. Hello, my name is Steven. I'm 20 years old, and season 10 was my first season playing League. So this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's crazy.
There's so
many 20 as well.
In my first season playing League, I started in Bronze and peaked Silver 1. It took me around 2,000 games across 2 accounts. My goal is
to... Silver 1 now?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was his first season.
Yeah.
This is in his first
So
season.
2,000 games in one season.
Yeah.
Ranked.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
My goal is to eventually hit Challenger. I'm a little sad that people with half the amount of games as me outranks me. I've seen every one of Curtis's videos, watch at least one pro VOD and one of my own VODs daily. I think my biggest problem is my anger and toxicity. Sometimes I tilt first game on and sometimes I tilt after game 5. Some days I don't even tilt. The worst part is when I experience emotional hijackings where I have angry outbursts. I can't calm down because he says League doesn't have any physical outlets for the hormones released during fight or flight. So there's like, difference between physical sports where you can physically,
let
get
it
out
on
anger
someone,
and stuff. So he can't calm down and direct his frustration towards his teammates or even worse, his girlfriend that I live with. I am sickened with myself because I sometimes bring her to the point of tears with my yelling and raging. This is not healthy or fair for her. Even in normal games, I lash out and rage at my friends as well as hers. Normally outside of League, I am calm and composed. This stark contrast of personalities is somewhat confusing. League is one of my passions. I want to improve and get good at the game without tilting, in caps. Improve at League without becoming this monster who rages. How can I mold consistency? Sorry for poor writing. I love the podcast. Thanks for anything. Helps. Just need some perspective.
Holy moly.
So this is pretty bad case.
Dude, we've seen these people though, Nathan.
Yeah.
I don't want to say names, but we've seen these people
Yeah.
in person.
Yeah.
Where they're literally a completely different person when they play the game. How fascinating is that? I mean, I still can't wrap my head around it, how it happens.
So there's two types of anger that I view it. It's like, okay, so some of the people that we know, they get really angry and pissed off because they're so competitive and they hate losing.
They're more pissed off at them. We've had people that are pissed off at themselves as well.
Yeah.
Like, we've known people that they literally use the word disgusted.
Disgusted. And then they'll go inwards.
Yeah, it's like anger, inwards anger. They're so fuming internally. They're absolutely fuming. And there's also anger at others because they think that they are the reason they're losing.
Yeah.
Even though that actually might be in certain situations. Just anger at other people.
And then there's just that. I think that's the one. It's like, okay, so you're angry because you're not improving, or just angry for the sake of being angry. You just want to be angry at something because of maybe something else in your life or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like that this anger is not the one about improvement.
No.
It's about just angry because of the game, for no reason. You know what I mean? So I think that's where I think a break must be had, or is this someone we recommend to not be potentially playing the game, Curtis?
Yeah, man. Honestly, I mean, this is
because
really
there's
tough.
no way you can keep going on like this unless you have a huge change in mindset, because you're going to just play another 2,000 games getting angry.
I mean, this is shocking. I mean,
and you will never
but
climb.
This is that's not a pleasant hobby. Think about all the things that you can do spending your time with the game, like any other game out there or any other hobby. Your hobby is meant to be fun or you get something out of it. Like you're not going to get anything out of the game like that.
No.
Guarantee you.
No.
No personal development.
No.
You're not going to get any satisfaction. Nothing. It's just anger, frustration. You're going to leave your desk upset. You're going to piss off people. That's to the point where it even could be an addiction, by the way.
Yeah.
Because it's affecting other people around him. Maybe he's actually got to the point where he's actually maybe somewhat addicted to the game.
So Stephen, listen to was it 2 podcasts ago? We did one on episode 27 on addiction.
He needs to take a break.
Yeah.
Take a walk away from the game for 2 weeks. Honestly, take a break for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Come back, see how you feel. I think the other thing you need to shift your mentality completely.
Well, he says he's sickened with himself. He knows this is a problem.
Yeah, but to be honest, man, I mean, unless you have some form of anger management issues, and which, I mean, I don't want to comment on that. That might be the case that you haven't seen to come to fruition. But when I hear that sort of thing, dude, you know what prevents me I think you probably the same, from being angry? Being angry is a waste of time because it literally...
it's self-sabotaging behavior.
It does nothing.
No.
Zero.
Yeah.
So if you actually want to improve at the game or get anything out of the game, being angry is counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Simple. I know you can't use logic in this situation where you're emotional, but I don't even let myself get emotional because I think to myself, well, okay, this guy I'm playing with is probably a casual player. He doesn't really care about improving anyway. I'm on my own learning journey. This is not a team game. This is a solo game. Every other person in this game is my tool to win. That's all they are. I don't even view them as humans a lot of the time. I view them as just tools. That's why I mute a lot of mute all. So you need to go into every game, mute all, view every game as a tool to win the game, do your job, identify your role, and if they mess up, I can't get angry at someone else because I know how poorly I've played this game. You obviously, if you're getting angry, that says to me that either A, you have high expectations for your teammates, which is that's just toxic,
unrealistic expectations.
Unrealistic, and you need to get rid of that invisible narrative.
Yeah.
2, you're not understanding how you are contributing to the losses. So you're thinking in your mind that you're playing perfectly and everyone else is just they're the reason you're losing. Or 3, maybe you're just using this as a venting mechanism. You haven't, because maybe you've got other shit going on in your life and you're using it as a venting mechanism or something like that. Is there anything else, Nathan, we need to talk about this? I mean, I this is quite over my head, honestly. I don't know how to solve this problem.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is realizing that this cannot go on, and do not expect to climb higher than Silver 1. Continue in this behavior. You said your goal is to eventually hit Challenger. Okay, this is what I want you to do. Write down in your mind this is what we did with Jono.
The picture of mastery? Yeah, he needs to do a picture of mastery.
Write down Challenger player, like Challenger Steven.
Yeah.
And list all the traits you believe that a Challenger Steven, their mindset, how they'll be.
No, think about yourself. So envision yourself, Steven, in 2 years' time being the ultimate Challenger version of Steven. What skills or how would that person have? And what type of person would that person be? If you would envision like the best version of Steven, this Challenger version of Steven, what would they look like? What would they sound like? What sort of language would they be using? What sort of skills would they have? And literally write all of these qualities and these traits down of this person. Then you can hold yourself to this standard. Then you can literally look at what I'm doing right now, compare it with that and be like, holy shit, I have so much room for improvement. I'm not even nowhere near. The Challenger version of Steven would be poised, controlled, doesn't get angry, controls emotions.
Takes responsibility
for every game.
Yeah.
Knows how to get into the review and look at pinpoint what goes wrong. Knows how to, break up their games into blocks. And knows how to play out lanes for understanding all the intricacies of the matchups. Just get very detailed. Create your own picture of mastery and refer back to it, dude. You need to hold yourself to a higher standard.
Yeah, right now this is very low. I always say it to my coaching clients when people start being really toxic and stuff like that.
And you know what, Nathan, what we'll say? Break it down. Have small goals. His first goal, you know what it should be? It should be like literally say, I want to not express my anger verbally or physically or have any outbursts for the first 10 minutes of a game.
Yep, that's a nice little goal.
Done.
Yep.
Once you, again, hold yourself to a very, 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 very high standard. If you can't do that, you can't play the next game until you've walked away from your computer. Go again. Maybe slowly increase it to 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes. You're not going to go from 0 to 100. I mean, although it should be once you fix your mentality, but you need to hold yourself to a high standard, Ben.
Worst case scenario, just try it out. I mean, again, you've done 2,000 games. Just try something different.
And you're making the league experience incredibly miserable, by the way, for a lot of people in your games.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and the people around you.
I mean, if I was in Steven, I would hate to play the game if this was the case, This would be a terrible game for me to play.
Oh, I would hate to play the game as well. If I'm in his shoes, screw that. What's the point? I mean, the game's meant to be fun, right? I love playing League. That is not a fun experience. So,
Steven, this is pretty low-level behavior, but you can do better than this, man.
Yeah, definitely.
You're so self-aware to know all these issues.
Yeah.
You can. Is this the best you? Is this the best version of you? I don't think so. All right, I think that's all we're going to do for questions.
We're going to do 2 today?
Yeah,
okay.
We'll just do 2 quick questions.
So this is it, Nathan. We're done for the year.
2020. Broken by Concepts in the books.
Wow, 30 episodes.
I think it was a good idea we started this podcast. What do you think?
Pretty insane.
30 episodes by the end of this year.
Got to get to triple digits.
900
next year we can get to triple digits?
Yeah, easily.
Nice, dude. Episode 100, dude. What do we do for episode 100?
It's going to be a
party.
Banger. We might not even be on this couch or in this place.
That's true, actually. Most likely not.
Fascinating. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. That's another whole story. We will see ya next time.
Catch you later.